Hello and welcome to the next episode of Digital Twin Podcast. Today we will continue discussion about Industry 4.0 and we will try to show you the broader context. Stay tuned. Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachowicz, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. Yes, like always, we should probably start with the short summary of the previous episode, because the way we organize them is, we want you, our listeners, and people watching it on YouTube. We want you to, kind of understand the journey that we are going through. So maybe, Adrian, you can, sum up the previous episode if possible.
Yeah, sure. So mostly we are continuing the industrial revolutions journey, you can say, because like 2 episodes before we talked about how was looking like first industrial revolution, second one, third one. In the last episode we were debating about that if we are already in the 5th industrial revolution or 4th. And spoiler alert, we talked about that in our opinion still there's 4th, and at least it's 4.1 or 4.2. But of course it will be debatable after maybe a few years. And of course artificial intelligence is something which can change our point of view. Because as we are recording right now in June 2023, we are still like few months after releasing ChatGPT and other Midjourney and other hundreds of artificial intelligence tools which can actually revolutionize the way we work. So I think we need more time, and that's mostly about what we were talking about in previous 2 episodes.
Okay, so what should we do first? Should we talk about the applications of modern technologies in different sectors of industries? That would be okay to start with?
Yeah, I think because we were mainly focusing in last 2 episodes, we were mostly talking about manufacturing, right? Mm-hmm. And like the genesis of industrial revolutions, as it's called, as it's named, it came from industry, so mostly manufacturing. And it's not like it's not like all the technologies are born in manufacturing, but manufacturing companies have a lot of motivation and a lot of budgets to just improve the efficiency in every single year of the function of their businesses, and also they have a big capacity. That's why in the past, all of three industrial revolutions were mostly touched in the first manufacturing. But if you think about the 4th one, I think we started in manufacturing, but it spread so fast in some other industries like banking, like education, household, things which we buy every single day right now. For example, all of the devices which you can buy right now in your nearest electric shop, it's probably have some IoT capabilities. Now the change is geometrical one, I would say.
Yeah, I have a theory, a hypothesis, why manufacturing is adapting those technologies so fast. And then, first of all, manufacturing companies, that like well-established manufacturing plants, they measure everything. This is a very rare situation, within any industry, that everything has to be measured in order for that manufacturing plant to be effective, and in order to manage the cost properly. But the other thing is manufacturers, they understand that if they implement one change, then using that increase of efficiency through the economy of scale, this is just crazy amount of savings that they can generate. So I think this is one of those things that if you put those two together, the most benefits you can acquire through implementing technology as soon as possible. So just hypothesis. Do you agree with that, or not so much?
I think because you said about measuring, the key is that in manufacturing we are having a lot of machines, right? So it's much easier to measure things which are already in the machines or in the actual sensors than, for example, if you think about measuring how your local shop looks like, and how you can revolutionize the way they work. So yeah, this is one thing. The other thing I would say is that because if you think about serial production, let's say about smartphones. I don't know how, I never went to a smartphone factory, but I can imagine how does it work. So let's say every 30 seconds there is a new smartphone release from a production line, right? So if like the production line doesn't work for 10 minutes, it means that the cost of this downtime is like, let's say 100,000 or something like that, because we didn't have the sales because we didn't produce for this few minutes, and also we still had costs. Also optimizing like just 1 second or half second of the cycle time, if you compare it to scale, so millions of produced smartphones or anything else which you can imagine, it's just a lot of money. So if you can use something which can just optimize this time, you have a pretty big budget to do it.
Sure. Yeah, so at the end of the day, I think it is about the economy of scale. If you're running a small organization, it doesn't really make sense to you to implement that digitalization in general, because the ROI is not going to be that big. But if you are running 1,000 people manufacturing plant, you're gonna be able to see the results faster, I think. So the technologies, what are like the main technologies that we can talk about, and their like the aspects of implementing them? Like what would be the number one?
I would say in detailed in the next episode we will tell about the three main technologies which I think are the most important one to any kind of business, or maybe not most important one, but the most common one when you can adopt to any business you can. Broadly, we talk about most of Industrial 4.0 technologies in the last episode, and I think some of them are not adaptable everywhere, right? For example, if you compare like 3D printing, okay, it's something interesting. For example, if you are a manufacturer and you are trying to test something new in your process. So before you project all of the machines and all of the technological process, you just print like an example, how could it look like and how could it work, and then you can test it. But in most of other businesses, it's hardly imagine how you can use it. But for example, if you think about cloud computing, I think this is the most unestimated one because nowadays we use cloud for almost everything. If you're using Netflix, you use cloud. If you use, for example, Google Drive or iCloud, use cloud. If you want your telephone get broke, you buy a new one, all of the things are restored from the cloud. So everywhere we have cloud nowadays. And if you ask me about the one that is the most common one and the one which we actually don't see anymore, I would say it is the cloud.
Okay, yeah. So for most of the time, we do talk about technology revolutionizing manufacturing and just production in production plants in general. But if we are to talk about some like other areas where technology comes in and helps to optimize, what other areas, what other not industries, what other areas of our life can be optimized through technology?
I think probably all of them will be sooner or later. But if you think about, what we are using in our daily lives, and most of those things are being manufactured. But if you look at the point of view, about not only production but also how the good is delivered, there is transportation involved. So as far as I know, Tesla is working, for example, in trucks which can drive without drivers, and they already have it in normal regular cars. I mean, you need driver, but the car can drive by itself, and also the cars will be charged by electricity. And it could be a great impact because it lowers in the future, let's say, because you have to ask yourself, okay, from where you have electricity and how much the electricity costs comparing, for example, to gasoline. But if you think about 10 years from now, it could be a great impact if you think about logistics costs. So I would say after manufacturing, and the first one will be the most impactable one on our daily lives. It will be logistics and transportation.
Okay, logistics, and I would say something different. I would say maybe healthcare, because maybe not maybe, but we are capable of gathering the data now that we were not able to gather before, and basically we are able to wear IoT devices that like almost as our watches. I had this conversation with one of my friends, and he uses this Aura ring. There's different kinds of those elements, but through the fact that he was wearing that, and the ring was connected with the application, he understood the not the benefits, but he understood what happens to him whenever he drinks alcohol, and just because of that ability, to monitor some of the basic parameters, like the quality of his sleep and all that. Well, he's not drinking that much anymore. So I think this is just a way of revolutionizing, an easy way to revolutionize the way, the way we look at things that we used to do. So I think healthcare and the super easy way of analyzing the information that we have access to that can change our lives. I think that would be my number 2. But
I think also
logistics, I agree.
Yeah. Also, of course, if we cannot say about every branch in the world, because probably you can use most of the technologies in every branch you can imagine. But I would say healthcare, of course, logistics. Also, if you think about any kind of startup which is actually starting their business like tomorrow, let's say, right? You can start a business by yourself. Let's say you want to start an IT company. You have an idea and you have time to involve in it. But you don't know anything about creating graphics for social media. You don't know anything about writing good text for websites and so on. Normally, you need to have people to do it, so you have to pay someone. So a lot of people are stopped by just having a lot of money to start, to just getting started. Nowadays, you just need few AI tools, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, that's another interesting topic. I had another conversation with like some other friend, and he was talking about AI from a little different perspective. Like he's not like really terrified of that. He's ready to adapt that technology in his day-to-day life. But what he said was super interesting. He said that just because like we using the AI, we can do more in less time. So he was saying that maybe it's possible that we would get paid for 8 hours of work, but we can kind of be more effective and do it in 5 or 6 hours. So that seems to be a benefit, because there are many things that we have to do, and they don't bring too much value because they are repeatable tasks that you can just so that was one of those people that was not afraid of the AI taking over. He was actually happy because he understands that whenever you can automate basically the tasks that just don't make sense for us to do, then you're just winning this game of time. You can have more time, which is pretty unbelievable that some people are terrified of it, and some people look at it as a benefit that as a benefit for them, so they can optimize the amount of time they actually spend on work.
If you think about AI, I would say one important thing is that most people don't maybe understand exactly that what we are having to deal with right now is something called weak AI, right? Mm-hmm. So there's hundreds of or thousands of different applications which are created to do a specific task on a specific database which is closed. Which means if you, for example, want to create an toaster which have AI, he is not able to do anything else than what his creator makes him to do, right? Mm-hmm. So, for example, he can learn how much roasted toast you like, but not much more, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this is very important, because we are not considering right now something which is called AGI, so General Artificial Intelligence, who will be something more like human beings. I think we are, ChatGPT maybe is something which is the closest one to that, but still doesn't have a lot of the capabilities which we have. So if you consider how AI can help you, I think you said is the most important thing which you said is that we should focus nowadays, and we are capable to focus nowadays about delivering the value and focusing all of their times to our time to deliver this value. For example, if you're writing an email, you want to focus on what specific message you want to send to someone. You don't have to think and spend time that much about the language and, for example, what form of phrases you have to use or stuff like that. And normally you were spending a lot of time about that if you consider it, hundreds of emails sending per week. But nowadays you don't have to do it. So yeah, AI helps a lot.
Sure. I think we are already talking about different people looking at AI from different perspectives, and I think the main reason for that is the lack of education, or the people that don't see the benefits, and they may be terrified of it. Maybe they just don't understand it, in the way that helps them draw better conclusions. So the education part, I think, most of the society is not able, to follow the development of technology, and that's why it's difficult, for them to see the benefits. And I think it's always the same case. If you're terrified of something, you're gonna go against it, right? So what do you think about the state of education currently?
Yeah, I think, because what we are looking at right now is that, the technology and the capabilities are far, far away after a real education, which we can find on internet, in schools, and so on, and also from legislation, right? And I think it's a big problem because we cannot, if you're considering schools, let's say, you cannot look back and say, okay, everyone can just write his essay from ChatGPT, but we don't see it, it's coming, right? No, it's not the way to solve this problem, or this unnecessary problem, but like just what's going on exactly. What we should do is to try to adopt to what is coming to the current situation. Of course, in a lot of cases, it will be maybe not impossible, but it will be really hard, because you can something which is called changing the healthcare system or education system or any kind of system you can imagine. If you consider in the entire countries, it's a very, very long process. And one of the examples how to deal with that is let's say Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak and some other a couple of people just wrote some time ago, a few weeks or maybe months ago, an information that they want to slow down the research and related to AI, because nowadays we are talking about AI mostly in this episode, because this is something which is on the main topic nowadays, and also this is something which is frightening the most people, and probably this is something which is number one if you're considering all of those legislation or educational problems. I think slowing down is not the case. I think it's impossible to do so. Maybe some people which read this will say, okay, I will, maybe it's a good way. But in the other thing, you say, okay, but there's a lot of other people which are still working on it. So if I slow down, I'll be on the back, and those guys will be much more ahead from me. So I think I don't have a clear cut, strategy what to do, which is, realistic one, because, we can talk about what we should do or we shouldn't do, but what is realistic to do according to, the entire history of change in, 50 years or so, right?
Yeah, in reality, we have to adapt, and there's no other way. We should, probably manage it a little better, but either way, we have to adapt. So yeah, there's also challenges, right, with adapting the technology. We don't have access to proper, like most people don't have access to proper education. That's why they might be, afraid, and they might miss out the opportunity here with this artificial intelligence. But what about the problems, the obstacles that we have to deal with whenever implementing that technology? Again, through the fact that some people might be afraid, they might want to limit the accessibility of artificial intelligence. I'm thinking, there are people working in manufacturing plants, and they might not be super happy about the optimizations and robotization of their factories, because they might think that it's not going to be good for them at the end. What do you think? What kind of obstacles do you see if we talk about implementing new technologies we can talk about manufacturing or implementing technology in general.
Yeah, I would say that if you consider especially artificial intelligence, I would say there is space to be afraid, right? Because what we are dealing with right now, if I imagine what could be possible like after 5 years, it is scary. It is scary, but in the other hand, you have to think like it's not like you will look back and it will not going to do it will stop, or it will disappear. So that's why we are talking about what we can do. Every one of us, what we can do is just learn and try to think how we can see it as a chance. And this is the only way we can as humans deal with this all any kind of revolution, but especially technological revolution, which is geometric scale. Like every single day we are like 1,000 more some of intelligences, weak AIs, which are there. They are 1,000 more intelligent, or what they have 1,000 more capabilities on 1,000 more data than they had the day before. So I would say, first of all, we have to internally think about it, and probably because there was never in the past like a situation that there was any kind of technology which was scary to creative people, right? Most of the technologies in the past, they automatize the repetitive work, and they just make something work better or more efficient. But now, if you add artificial intelligence with cloud computing, with networks which we are, having a high capacity, or 5G or 6G or and so on. If you combine it together, there's like a very big ghost in the closet right now. But so what we can do, we cannot hide from it. We should learn from it. This is the first thing. And the second thing, if you are, for example, having a team which you are on the head of it, you should consider, for example, just creating a great environment to change, to manage the change, and not even necessarily if you are considering implementing any kind of technology, but just to make a proper education for your people, what is on the market right now, even if you don't want to implement it just yet, because this just yet could be like way different in like few months from now.
Sure. You, at the beginning of what you were saying, you said that you are a little afraid of what can happen in 5 years. I'm a little afraid what is already possible, but we don't even know about this, because the ChatGPT is like, for most people this is the breakthrough, but usually the breakthrough happens couple of years before like the general population can find out. So do you feel that just because technology is more and more advanced, we are now adapting it a little faster, or maybe not adapting it because the adoption rate is not that great, but it's easier to implement some like digitalization or optimization processes just because this technology is so advanced, so it can be maybe done flawlessly. What do you think?
I think because of the way technologies are being developed, are also our capabilities to educate ourselves are also developed. I mean, for example, if there was something really new like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, in the times where there's no such thing like internet in every house, it means that someone had to just write a book about it. So he had to learn it first, then he had to write a book about it, then he had to do a marketing or whatever to sell this book. And after that, someone have to buy this book and just learn from it. So it was months, sometimes years, to learn something super new, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can just learn from YouTube. You can learn from Twitter. If, in the edge of the world something happened, we knew it in the same time. We can just Google it. Then we can type some stuff which we find on Google in ChatGPT, and we can just be smarter in just few minutes, few hours, right? So the possibilities and the capabilities to stay on time with the change are way different than it was before. So I think this is something which is encouraging, and what we should think about in this that the change is not only something scary, but there's a big chance for every one of us because of it.
Yeah, sure. Any conclusions? Just to sum it up, like it's an interesting topic, and we could probably discuss it more and more, because this is something that's happening, and this is so broad. This topic of technology is so broad, so we can maybe talk about it more. But on the other hand, I think it's a good time to summarize it. So any conclusions for like the further development of of technology, and further development of different options of how we can use this technology in our day-to-day life?
Yeah, I think all of us should consider what is something new is always we can interpret it as a as a threat or as a chance, and I will postulate to just interpret it always as a chance, because of course our brain and the way we are developed biologically as humans is that we should be first of all think to how to escape from a lion and stuff like that, because this is what was the main object like 3,000 or 4,000 years ago for us. But nowadays there are many other scary things in the world, but there's also a lot of different ways how to deal with it. And yeah, for me, whatever there is and is coming, it will be there anyway. So we should just get prepared for it and invest in ourselves, education as much as we can to just deal with it in a proper way.
Sure. Yeah, I think the way to go is to kind of have this balanced approach, so don't be like terrified of it, but also don't count on AI to solve all the problems. So like adapting whatever is possible, and keeping it balanced. I think that's the way to go. Also educating yourself as much as possible on what are the options now, what can happen in a couple of years. I think there will be a lot of businesses that can learn from it. There are other businesses that can look at different implementations of AI, and they can now start thinking about developing businesses that will be multi-million or multi-billion dollar businesses in the future. So keep it balanced and keep it going. Yeah, I think that's a good summary of today's episode. So thank you, Adrian. Hope to have more interactive discussions with you in the near future. So and thank you all the people watching and listening. It's you can let us know if you like it or if you like something different. So please let us know in the comments.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.